like to call our March board meeting to order. Declaration of a quorum, 5 with 2 on their way. We welcome you. Appreciate y'all being here. Welcome to this meeting of the College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees. We were elected at large to represent the interests of our community and our state in educating our students. Our mission for our students in this district is success each life, each day, each hour. We adhere to all pertinent laws, policies, and procedures in posting agendas and conducting our meetings. The detailed agenda information was made available to us at least 72 hours in advance. We have all come to this meeting informed and prepared. We've just completed a workshop meeting where we heard reports and discussed much of the information needed to make decisions in either this meeting and upcoming meetings. This is a meeting of the 7 trustees in a public setting rather than a public meeting. As such, public comment is included on the agenda at a specific time and requires us to listen rather than take action so as to abide by the Open Meetings Act. We're pleased that you have taken time this evening to join us. We're very proud of this school district and we thank you for your interest in and support of our students. Brings us to item C, recognitions. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. This evening, we have students joining us from Creekview Elementary and Spring Creek Elementary, and I would ask that Principals McKeever and Southern come forward and introduce our 4 students.
All right, good evening. I have 2 fourth graders here with me, and they would like for me to introduce them and tell you a little bit about themselves. So the first student I have is Daryl Garcia. Very good. Thank you, Daryl. Daryl's been at Creekview for all of his years, from kindergarten to 4th grade now. He loves to do chess puzzles in our UL competitions, where he got 6th place for the district. And a funny story about Daryl, he is the reason that my personal son loves to play chess. We were at the public library very early in the fall semester, and my son and I, on a Saturday morning, were playing checkers. And he looks over and sees Daryl and his little brother Brent playing chess, and he just had to watch them and say, and he had the biggest meltdown when we left because he wanted to play chess. And so we are now chess players at our family because of Daryl and Brent. So thank you for that. His favorite subject in school is math. He said that when he grows up, he wants to be a home builder. And if he was the principal of Creekview, he would say that we should give more homework, but as practice and not as a grade, because he loves to do the work. And so his favorite thing at Creekview is just he loves the learning that happens there. So that's Daryl. All right, and Kylie. And our other student, Kylie Morgan. She's been there all 5 years as well. She's a member of our choir. Her favorite subject in school is art, and she wants to be an artist when she grows up. And if you would see some of the bulletin boards she helps with, you would know that she just loves to help out and is very creative as well. And if she was the principal, she would do no homework, and she would eliminate social studies. So we got a little bit of a conflict there, but she loves to be at school with her friends and is always helping out teachers and is a great friend. So.
All right, good evening. I'm Chris Oden, the principal at Spring Creek. I've got a couple of our fantastic 4th graders with us today. I've got Cody and Aubrey. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Funny story about Cody. He showed up here this morning at 6:45 a.m. And I think Dad called and was like, hey, where is everybody? It's tonight, but I'm glad you're there. So he was so excited, he got there way early. So Cody, come up and tell us a little about yourself.
Hello, I am Cody Adams. How's your day? My favorite subject in Spring Creek Elementary is math because I love adding and I love multiplication. And one thing that I like about Spring Creek Elementary is that we have a very nice principal and very nice teachers.
Free ice cream for that guy. Friday. All right, and Aubrey's going to come up and tell you a little bit about herself. Come on, Aubrey.
I am Aubrey from Spring Creek, and I love Spring Creek because of our amazing staff members and students, and Mr. Southard is a really nice principal.
What in the world?
All right, guys, who's leading us? Come on. Everybody stand. Please stand.
Please stand. I honor the Texas. Oh my God. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, in liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
May you please join us for a moment of silence.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Stay for pictures.
Good job.
Parents, don't feel free to come up and grab a photo as well. I'll look right here one more time.
Hang on, wait, we forgot one. You do it? All right. Good.
Thank you.
Good job. Nice to meet you. Moving to item C2, we have some student recognition, so we'll turn things over to Mr. Glenwinkle. Students, as Mr. Glenwinkle calls your name, if you'll come forward, meet me on the far side. I'll provide you with your certificate, and if you will shake hands with all the board members. So, Mr. Glenwinkle.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale, Mr. Horak, members of the board, and our guests here this evening. It's my pleasure again to introduce some outstanding student accomplishments this evening. First of all, let's talk about a state champion wrestler. Sydney Perez won the 95-pound weight class at the Class 5A State Wrestling Championships. Perez won her first 3 matches by pinning her opponent and then beat her opponent by a 10-3 decision in the championship match. She finished the season with an overall record of 36-5. Please help me congratulate state champion wrestler Sydney Perez.
And for the record, Mr. Glenwinkle, whenever we did the interview last week, she practices against the bigger boys. Because she's so good. Thank you.
Sydney is coached by A&M Consolidated High School wrestling coach, Coach David Sawyer. Congratulations, Coach. All right, next we are going to switch gears and go from the mat to the pool, where we're going to honor some state champion swimmers. 4 members of the A&M Consolidated Boys Swim Team won the gold medal in both the 200 and 400 yard freestyle relays at the 5A State Swimming and Diving Championship. That's 2 gold medals each. These 4 swimmers set school records in both relays, winning the 200 freestyle relay in 1 minute, 24.35 seconds, and the 400 freestyle in 3 minutes, 4.48 seconds. The winning relays helped the boys team finish in 3rd place at the state Class 5A swimming championships. As I call your name, please come forward to receive your certificate and be recognized. Karsten Johnson. Andrew Larson. Michael Pung. Eric Zhao. Tiger Swim Team is coached by the person who was named both the coach of the meet for boys and the girls at the regional swim competition, Coach Jenny Marquardt. Okay. Can we have all the athletes and coaches come up for a group picture, please?
This is all script, so it's all.
She can say it too. They might have to get in a starting position.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Mr. Martindale, Mr. Hark, that concludes our recognitions for the evening.
You should be able to use both in your head.
All right, congratulations again. That brings us to C3. We'd like to recognize the artwork there in the back of our boardroom here from Creekview Elementary and Spring Creek Elementary. Make sure you take a look at those. We've got some fantastic artists throughout our district. That brings us to item D, board reports. Mr. Martindale. No, we'll just see who wants to go first. Anyone? Don't all jump to it.
I'll go quick. District Education Improvement Council meets tomorrow virtually to do progress monitoring on the district improvement plan.
I can go next. First, academic achievement and GPA meeting we had yesterday, and we will have another one coming up in April. So we're not quite done, but getting close to wrapping everything up. And if you want more details, we just talked about it in the workshop a lot more for that one. And then the other thing is Education Foundation. Officially for a meeting, they get the month of March off, after all the busyness in February, but they don't really take the month off because coming up on March 22nd is the Hall of Fame. I think for those of you who've been to it, it's always a very wonderful event where we honor our graduating seniors that really demonstrate character and just are really great citizens in our community, our school community. But it's also wonderful because they honor the teachers that have made a difference in their lives as well. So it's a great event coming up in 2 weeks from tonight. And then the other thing to report is they're working on the process of the scholarships. The scholarship applications are all in, but now it's figuring out how to award $138,000 worth of money out to the applicants. So that's exciting as well. I think those are my only two.
The Personnel Advisory Committee met last week, and unfortunately, Mr. Martindale wasn't able to be there, and Dr. Payne was, unavailable till August. So we got no, he was there. I'm kidding. We got a update, and then this was two meetings that kind of combined into one because February got canceled because of the weather. And so there was a discussion about the calendar and specifically the process that's used to develop the calendar. We also talked about the district staff development as well, required training. And there was some discussion, and I think Mr. Mann did a good job of explaining and is also going to follow up with making sure that or hoping that our calendars correspond with the required training that the teachers and staff have to have. Of course, we talked about COVID and the protocols there and the current status of COVID cases. Teacher incentive allotment was discussed again, and then there was a lot of discussion in regard to recruitment efforts, retention efforts, and so forth that the administration gave pretty good explanations for, as well as custodians and so forth. The most exciting part of it is that over the next month we'll be finding out, or they'll be voting on the Employee of the Year Awards, which is also another exciting event that I guess that's in May when that actually occurs. But they are starting the process of whittling those down. So.
SHAC committee met last month and is continuing to look at the implementation of House Bill 4545, I believe. I'm a bit skeptical generally of statewide dictates from the legislation on the education stuff, but I think it's critical change that's opt-in policy for the human sexuality. So it still gives those parental rights that the parents can determine to opt in as opposed to previously having to opt out. I think the subcommittee and the staff did a great job to make sure those TEKs are very narrow and fact-based, not just aspirational. And the only thing I would like to see is a little bit more parental involvement for something that's so close to values and personal opinions. There was a deficit of parental involvement, and I don't know if it's the time of the week or if that's normal for the SHAC committee, but I was shocked that we didn't have more parents involved.
All right, that brings us to superintendent update.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Horak. Again, and you've heard this a time or two, right now we were in the process of accepting proposals. We had our RFP for our fully and self-insured plan options go out to market. We do anticipate bringing a recommendation to the board to consider in April. And if that's the case and we're able to get that approved, then we could start getting plan option and cost information out to our employees and having conversation around that and educating folks through the course of May and into the June. Typically, we don't get new plan information from TRS until the first part of June. So we've been ahead of the curve on that and allow plenty of time for folks to become educated on where we land for that. We're excited about this process and an attempt to manage cost and pass those types of things along to our employees so that we're not constantly battling increasing rates. As everyone's aware, we did miss school on February 3rd and 4th. Later on the agenda, we have a resolution to pay our employees for those missed days of work. We also requested a waiver for making up those days and transitioning some staff development time to instructional time. At last month's meeting, you'll be happy to know that TEA did approve that waiver, so we will not need to try to figure out a way to manage those 2 days that we missed. Also, later in the agenda, Ms. Strauss will share some additional information on this. Some consideration, we're asking for approval for some retention stipends using federal funds for current year employees going into next school year, 22-23. Also at workshop, kudos to Mr. Hall and Ms. Strauss. They did a wonderful job bringing us up to speed on various projects and things that have already occurred or in the process of being planned for the next several summers. of things associated with our November 21 bond. Also, Ms. McAdams and I serve on the make sure I get the title of the committee right, Kimberly. Citizens Bond Advisory Committee with the city. If you may have seen in the news, even and last night was public input session, the city of College Station is working through the process to determine a possible bond to take to the voters in November. So Mr. McAdams and I serve as two committee members on that, as well as Mr. Ramirez. Renee, I almost forgot. I sat next to you in the committee, but I almost forgot you. So we're glad to be a part and engaged in supporting our community and the city in that endeavor and identifying possible projects for the council to consider. Student success, well, we just saw some, right? State champions in swimming as well as girls wrestling. We did have 3 students score perfect on the ACT, if you were unaware of that. And again, congratulations. I did miss the PAC meeting. However, just full disclosure, I was in San Antonio watching the girls basketball team from CSHS in the state tournament. So, sorry, Mr. Ben, I chose the girls basketball team over you. But congratulations on those ladies for making the state tournament. They had a wonderful season. Our kids just continue to do amazing things, academically, athletically, fine arts. Both of our one-act plays progressed beyond the first round. So wonderful things occurring in our school district due to the efforts of many. Thank you, Mr. Horak. That wraps up Superintendent's update.
All right. That brings us to item E, hearing of citizens. Anything? Nothing today. Brings us to item F, consent agenda. Items G, J5, J6, J7, J8, J9, J10, J11, and 12, K3, and K4. Is there any discussion? Not, need a motion?
Move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Moves us to item H, curriculum and instruction, H1. Mr. Martindale.
All right, thank you. Our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Penny Trammell, shared with the board at workshop in detail the revisions and updated District of Innovation Plan that we'll be asking for approval here after a brief summary by Dr. Trammell. And this would run for 5 years, 22 through 27. So with additional details, just as follow-up from workshop earlier this evening, Dr. Trammell.
Good evening, Mr. Horak, Board. We are seeking approval of the new District of Innovation Plan as presented in the board workshop. Just a brief summary, we have 9 exemption codes in our plan that would allow us some of the same exemptions that charter schools and private schools enjoy in their operations. We do have 2 new codes in our plan. One around probationary contracts and one around campus behavior coordinators. And we have one code that had a brief reframing of language to give us a little more flexibility than we had in our previous plan. So with that, I would ask for approval of the new District of Innovation Plan as presented in the board workshop. Through the recommendation of our District Education Improvement Council, which the board has appointed as their District of Innovation Advisory Committee.
I move to approve as accepted, presented.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We are a District of Innovation per the Board of Trustees.
All right, thank you.
All right, that brings us to item H2, receive a report related to communications and CSISD. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak and board members. Each month, we have a program report. This month, we have Mr. Glenn Winkle in our communications department. Chuck?
Thank you, Mr. Martindale, Mr. Horak, members of the board. It's my pleasure to be here this evening to share a little information with you about the College Station ISD Communications Department. This is who we are. I'm Chuck. I'm the director of our department of 3. The picture on the left up there is Attican. That's actually a picture of what he's doing right now. He's in the back there. Hi, Attican. Everybody can wave to Attican if you'd like to, but he's back there live producing this meeting for a live stream, but also when you live produce it, it saves him a lot of time of editing tomorrow. So we can get these meetings recorded and up. Most of the time we get them up before noon on the next business day. And state law says we have 7 business days to do it, but we get them up quick. And then Attican is a wizard when it comes to anything video, photo, web related. He's very technically savvy, which I'm finding out is pretty common for young folks nowadays. Then there's Courtney Dorn on the right. She is our front desk receptionist. Many times she is the first person that our customers or our new families speak to or talk to when she answers the phone. She does a great job of owning any issues that come to her and not simply passing along the phone calls. If she doesn't know who it needs to go to, she finds out and owns that problem until she finds the right person to solve it. So we're very thankful to have both those employees in College Station ISD. Talk a little bit about what we do. If I were to give an elevator speech, real brief, I would say we attempt to keep the community, staff, students, and families informed on what's going on in College Station ISD. A lot of that revolves around that little picture over there is determining the relevance. There's lots of stuff out there. And what we'll talk about later is some of the difficulties we have in communication and why. And so relevance is a big part of that. So how do we do it? One of the main things we do is we're the conduit between the media and everyone in this school district. We have a great working relationship with all of our local media outlets. The local media knows to contact me if they need a source for a story. We reach out to them for story ideas as well. We try to keep the burden of doing interviews to our folks over in the central office area, unless it is a story that's particularly related to a campus, a department, or a certain student that they're doing a story on. Sometimes it's very good to get their teacher or principal input on that. But for the most part, we try to keep that burden to the experts over here. We do have what I like to consider as our own news service. We pump out a lot of stuff, and this is the fun part of what we do. We get to celebrate the success that the students in College Station ISD achieve, and it's a lot of success, and it's a lot of information that we're able to pump out regarding that success. And most of that content goes to our website and to our social media accounts, and then is oftentimes picked up in other places as well. But just real quickly, here's some statistics regarding social media and our website. Turns out if you want to pad your social media stats, all you got to do is decide to close school for a day or two. And it really blows it up. We had on February the 2nd, when we posted on Facebook that we were closing school, we reached over 17,000 people with that Facebook post. It was shared 201 times and had almost 1,500 engagements, which is likes, clicks on the image, or shares. And so, I mean, that's a pretty big outlier. We generally average between 100 and 150 likes or so, and around, it depends on how viral the post goes, 5,000 to 7,000 engagements. You can see our followers on our social media accounts. And what I think is interesting is the website popularity contest. If you look at Google Analytics, the top pages that were clicked on our website are listed right there. Those 3: school calendar, HACC, which is a home access center where parents and students go to check their grades, and then our HR and job openings page. If you look at searches, like actual, when you go to google.com and do a search, those are the 5 highest searched topics in the last 12 months and the numbers associated with those search topics. Again, I guess grades are important here in College Station, Texas, along with the calendar and just College Station ISD, finding the webpage. And then the final set of statistics has to do with the searches within our website since the beginning of the school year. So if you go to our website and use the search function, these are the things that are searched since August 1st. Calendar, COVID, transportation. We provide photo and video services for different departments and campuses. Attican goes out and takes several pictures, but we also rely a lot on our club sponsors and coaches and those sorts of things to provide us with pictures because we can't be at every event. And so they do a really good job of helping us with that as well. Again, if you get the hankering to watch some board meetings or any other previous videos we've done, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch any video we've produced. We do a little graphic design work, mostly here with the departments among central office. We just try to keep our documents fresh looking, professional, and within our branding guide. So when people look at a College Station ISD document, they know it's a College Station ISD document. And that's important when we talk about something a little bit later. And then we also utilize School Messenger on quite a bit. Again, if you go to, we get a report every time we send a message, you know, and it's a pretty detailed report. I blurred out a bunch of stuff there for privacy reasons. But again, on the school closure in February, we have, at that time, we had 23,749 parent emails in the system, and almost 9,000 of them are duplicates. So those are removed. So if you have multiple kids within the district, you don't get the same message multiple times, you get it once. And then we've got 1,100 that are blocked for one reason or another. And we get people that call quite often saying, hey, my neighbor got this email, I didn't get it. And I can go and check, and almost every single time they've blocked, but they've done so inadvertently by, you know, there's a little thing on the bottom that lets you opt out. And so that's where we are with that. And then I also think that people don't realize that the School Messenger is School Messenger. It's School Messenger for the district. It's School Messenger for the campus as well. So if they're getting bombarded with information, a lot of times that's what happens. Because all of our campuses use this service as well. So we all in all delivered 14,775 emails, and almost 62.5% were opened. Other things we do, we manage the background check portion of the volunteers in public schools. If you want to volunteer in public schools, and when I say volunteer, it is when you are going to do something that puts you in a situation potentially where you are unsupervised with children. And so for that, you have to be background checked, and state law says you have to do that every year. And so we do that. We've switched to using our employee application system, and it's a very much abbreviated application. It's not like you're applying for a job, you're applying to volunteer. I do it every year. I fill out the volunteer application every year. I'm the first one every year to test it. And it generally takes 3 to 5 minutes tops. And so we get a report, and we share that report about once a week with our campuses and our campus secretaries that has a list of all the approved volunteers in alphabetical order, along with the campuses in which they have children. So I think it's very helpful for them in that regard. We also manage distribution of non-school materials. In general terms, this allows the opportunity for nonprofit organizations to distribute materials to our students and families. Several years ago, we stopped sending home paper flyers with students because of information we received regarding the amount of stuff going home with students. It was hard to determine what was school related and what was not. And so we've developed an e-folder where we put those flyers on there. What we've noticed is that a lot of folks are starting to move to things like putting posters up in common areas of the school, as well as putting yard signs in the pickup and drop-off lines. So that's been another way for nonprofit organizations to get their information out. We also handle Public Information Act requests. Most of these Public Information Act requests revolve around directory information, believe it or not. People use the Public Information Act to get information on people to send them information directly. And so when we register, when parents register their students, there are 4 separate boxes they check that talk about, yes, you can release directory information for school use, non-school use, military use, and PTO directory. It's a yes or no. It is not a default. You have to say yes or no. You can't, if you skip it, it's going to make you go back and do it. It's not where it automatically defaults you in. You have to make a selection. But then we also get, the stuff you would think when you think about Public Information Act requests. We talked about earlier, I was going to talk about a few of our challenges, and one of those is just the instant news cycle. I mean, back in the day, you would get your news in the morning when you got the newspaper, and then again at either 5, 6, or 10 after you watch MASH at night, right? And so those days are gone. There's news everywhere, and you can get it at any time. And so that becomes a bit of a challenge in the fact that when something happens, there's an expectation out there that people know all the details immediately. And unfortunately, that is not always possible, because what you don't want, there's a fine line between communicating quickly and communicating the correct message. And so that is always something that we struggle with, being quick enough, but also making sure we're accurate if something is happening that calls for that. Another challenge is just the amount of information available. I mean, everyone has a computer in their pocket nowadays. I mean, how many, raise your hand if you remember like laying in bed at night trying to remember someone's name from a TV show and like just drive you nuts, right? When was the last time anyone did that? It doesn't happen anymore because you can get on your phone and look stuff up. And there's just information everywhere. The other difficulty with the amount of information out there is that it's really hard to discern what is real, what's not, what's true, what's false, and the source of that information. So while the amount of information is great, it also presents some challenges. And I think because of the amount of information out there, it's affected our attention span a little bit. I mean, people communicate nowadays with 140 characters, memes, and 15-second TikTok videos. And so it really gets difficult when you're talking about, like on the very first slide, where it says, these are the things we want to say. These are the things that people want to hear. Here's what's relevant. And so that is a constant struggle for us in our messaging, and something that we really just try to get things down to the brass tacks as best we can and hope people read it. Happy to answer any questions.
Have you made a TikTok video?
I have not. The next question would be, have I been in any TikTok videos?
I think he wants to make one with you.
No.
So I think another challenge for me, another challenge that I've seen is where to put the information. Like, do you send it in an email? Do you put it on Facebook? Do you do it all, do you send it out on Schoology? I mean, where?
I think it, to me, it just kind of depends on the information. I mean,
Right.
if it is something that is very important and we want to get in front of people, we like pull out all the stops.
Right.
Like we
Do all of the above?
email, website, social media, engage our news outlets. We have things where, I think all of our principals send home newsletters to families. We utilize those on occasion. And so I think it just depends upon the level of issue you're trying to tackle and communicate. But also, I think it's important to keep in mind the amount of communication people get, because I know several families in the district who have a, Glenwinkle CSISD at gmail.com account that they use to register, and all the school stuff goes to that email account. It's simpler for them, and it's a place that they can go, because when you consider that not only are we communicating from the district level, the campus level, the teacher level, the grade level, Schoology,
Right.
it can be a bit overwhelming, and that's something that we have to also keep in mind as we consider what and how we communicate things.
Yeah.
Just add one positive thing about, I think the changes that occurred over the last couple of years on the website have been very good. I mean, because that type of communication where that's really a lot of reference material and things that parents need to go find, I think it is all there, and the consistency that we have between the schools is also very much a positive, so they all look and feel the same. You might have to click through a number of times to get something. I don't know if I like those extra clicks, but
It's the same for all the schools.
but yes, that consistency. So I think it really helps. At least it's helped me be able to find what I need to find on the website.
And that's why we kind of look at metrics, page metrics, and see what people are clicking and try to bring those things to the forefront. And also, everybody wants their stuff on the front page of the website. They're just in a room, so we got to kind of make some value decisions there and use our metrics to help us with that. Thank you for that comment.
I'm cautious to ask this after this was asked to Mr. Eakes, but are there any resources that you feel you need in communication?
I look at our department as a department that is here to help people get their message out. Are we busy? Yes, but I think as of right now, I feel like we're in a good position as a communications department. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. That will bring us to item I1, consider approval of new administrator contracts. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. We have 3 administrative contracts that I'm recommending this evening. Kind of go through, I think we can handle these all as one item, and then possibly some introductions and those things after we take care of business. The first of which I'm recommending for Director of Early Education is Ms. Shelley Rice. I will do this. Shelley, just give a wave and you can do your 3 minutes, right? I did forget to tell them that they have 3 minutes to speak to the group whenever we finish here in a minute. Ms. Shelley Rice. Shelley started in College Station ISD in 1997 as a Head Start teacher. Moved over to the position of mental health and disability specialist within our early education department in 2015, and has been serving as an interim director since January, and led that department through a very comprehensive federal audit, coming out the other side with glowing results. So Ms. Shelley Rice, Director of Early Education, and also Shelley is a product of College Station ISD and a Consol graduate, correct? Very good. The next administrative contract I'm recommending this evening for our Director of Business Services, Mr. Chris Neely. Chris, give a wave to everyone. Very good. Chris started in College Station ISD in 2011 as budget coordinator. For the last 3 years, he has served as the Assistant Director of Business Services. Prior to working in College Station ISD, Chris was in the private sector and worked for an auditing firm. Chris, too, is a product of CSISD and a Consol graduate. Correct, Chris? Very good. Chris Neely. for the position of College Station High School head football coach and campus athletic coordinator, Mr. Douglas Stoney Pryor. Now, Stoney is not here this evening. He is also the girls' soccer coach. And he said, do I come to the board meeting or go to the soccer match? I said, you should go to the soccer match because I do not want a bunch of high school girls mad at me. Coach Pryor started in College Station ISD in 1995. And the fall of 95, I think he student taught in College Station ISD also the spring of 95. 95, he worked as a teacher and a coach at College Station Junior High before transitioning to A&M Consolidated High School in 1996, where he served in the capacity of teacher, football coach, offensive coordinator, and soccer coach until 2012, of which then Stoney transitioned to College Station High School, the same position of math teacher, football offensive coordinator, and head girls soccer coach. So we're also recommending Mr. Stoney Pryor for contract as well. Those are the three contracts I have before the board for consideration.
I move to approve new administrator contracts as presented.
I'll second.
To be honest, I want to know what kind of offense he's going to run before we approve it.
So we're going to cut discussion off there.
I expect that it will look very similar to what you've seen for the last 10 years. Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Congratulations to all.
I do want to, before I have Shelley and Chris stand up, I want to recognize how fortunate we are. All of these, three of these folks are coming from within the system. And they did not get these jobs just simply because they're within the system, but because our system is designed to cultivate these kind of people. So I'm very excited for each of them, having been a part of the team and this opportunity we're providing them in this new role. So with that, Shelley, you have to stand up. Is there anybody you want to introduce or anybody here with you? But you still must stand. So let's give Shelley another round.
And I do have to say, Kendra over there on the end was in my Head Start classroom at Rock Prairie Elementary as a 4-year-old, and now she's an assistant in our program.
Oh, goodness. Since you did that, Shelley, I had Consol class of 90. Is that right? Okay. So I wasn't going to say that because Chris is class of 2004. I'm just saying. Okay. Very good. Congratulations. Chris, I think you have someone to introduce.
Well, my wife, Noelle, we started dating back in high school. She went to Brazos Christian. That's all right. No, but I'm very thankful for the opportunity. Growing up here in College Station, CSISD was just a part of, who I am and what prepared me for not only Texas A&M, but also working at Deloitte for a few years and then coming back here and being successful through all that. And, just having the opportunity to work with everybody and, seeing some of my old teachers like Donna.
Wow.
Former teachers.
Hey, Chris, slowly sit down. Okay. Very good. Honestly, I asked him that. I said, what class? He said 2004, and I paused for a minute. I'm like, is he old enough to have this job? I'm not sure. No, we're very excited to have all these folks. Stoney as well. And again, he had asked about being here this evening, but I wanted him to fulfill those other responsibilities. He got a little bit of attention on Friday already. So anyway, very good. Thank you, Mr. Horak.
Yep. That brings us to item J1, consideration, discussion, possible action regarding compensation incentives for the 2022-23, including a retention stipend for eligible returning CSISD employees and a hiring incentive for hard-to-fill special education teachers and specified special education assessment staff. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Here with additional information associated with the retention stipend as well as the hiring incentive is our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Amy Droz. All of these are which are associated with federal monies. Ms. Droz?
Sorry. Thank you. So tonight I'm asking for your consideration to two pieces of our compensation plan for 22-23 year, a little earlier than normal, but I think that they're very timely when we discuss what they're for. But the first piece is a retention stipend for all returning staff if they meet particular criteria that's kind of spelled out in the exhibits. But that would be $2,000 to our teachers and our campus professional staff, and $1,000 to administrators, other professionals, auxiliary, and paras. This is very similar to what we did last year. As Mr. Martindale mentioned, it would be funded with federal funds. These are the American Rescue Plan funds with ESSER. This is also supported. Last year we had to do a survey, and the survey results were very favorable toward using these funds for the retention of staff. It's very important, always has been. And we discussed in workshop that that's one of our goals and objectives is to recruit and retain highly qualified staff. And the experiences we've had over the last 2 years at least really shows that importance. But this particular stipend this time we are proposing to be paid over 2 equal installments, half at the start of the school year and the other half at the start of the second semester. So that is the first part of the compensation plan. The second part is a hiring incentive for what we consider hard to fill special education staff. That does include teachers, speech therapists, diags, occupational therapists, those types. It would be in the amount of $1,500. And again, it's paid with American Rescue Plan funds, but funds that are specific to special education. So neither of these are additions to the general fund, but yet, they're going to help us accomplish some of those budget goals and objectives. So I'll entertain any questions you may have.
I have a question. I move to approve the compensation incentive for 22-23, including a retention stipend for eligible returning CSISD employees and a hiring incentive.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Ross. I think you're staying up there, though.
I'm over here.
Brings us to item J2, consider approval of contract for the purchase of and installation of the classroom interactive boards to Avanex through the TAMU contract C202041408 in the amount of $3,181,816.22, utilizing 2021 bond funds. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak and board members. As mentioned in the agenda language, this is a request for purchase as a result of the November 21 bond. What this will do is allow us to outfit all of our classrooms with the interactive display boards, get rid of the old smart boards. The exception to this would be our 3 newest campuses that already have these interactive panels. Here with additional information on this agenda item, Ms. Strauss.
Thank you. So as mentioned, these are being recommended for purchase out of the 2021 bond funds. This is out of Proposition A. Even though it is technology, it's considered connected to the building. So this is Proposition A. The team solicited quotes or proposals from various vendors who are already on a purchasing co-op that the district is members of. So we looked at those vendors. They did receive 3 complete proposals and analyzed those. The committee selected Avanex as the best overall value. They not only looked at price, and again, meeting our specifications for the equipment, but the ability to get those installed district-wide in a timely fashion this summer, and the support for that equipment after the installation. So based on that, the committee is recommending Avanext as the best overall value, again in the amount of $3,181,816.22.
I motion to approve as presented.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. That brings us to item J3. Consider approval of the purchase of technology devices for high school and middle school staff in the amount of $739,079 from Avanext through the DIR Purchasing Cooperative Contract, DIR TSO 4159, utilizing 2021 bond funds. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Again, another agenda item resulting from our November 21 bond. We did make a significant purchase for student devices previously. This is for staff at the high school and middle school level. This is laptops as well as some desktops for the office area, docking stations, and some displays as well. We do these in cycles. We'll get to elementary later. Tech department are going to handle so many coming in at one time. And so that's kind of how we have them divvied up like this. So with additional information on this item, Ms. Strauss.
Thank you. So this, again, is a purchase request out of bond funds, but this one is Proposition B, specific to technology devices that are not connected to the building. So again, the goal was to try to look at middle school and high school first, as Mr. Martindale said, to in order to get them distributed with the manpower, but also so that they don't always expire at the same time. So we're looking at the replacement cycle as well. But quotes were requested from vendors that, once again, were on a purchasing cooperative. We have several to choose from there, but we did get several that proposed, and the committee, after review, has recommended Avanext as being not only the low bidder, but the best value in the amount of $739,079. I did kind of add up, not counting the workstations and monitors, it looks like 613 devices. Any questions?
A motion to move as presented, to approve as presented, words like that.
Something like that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. J4, consider approval of the purchase of auditorium lighting upgrades for AMCHS and CSHS for a total amount of $320,904.42 from Covenant through the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative Contract number 200904, utilizing 2021 bond funds. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. And again, part of the 21 bond funds is part of Proposition A along the lines of fine arts. This will get both of our existing auditoriums up to speed. Obviously, a majority of this work needs to occur at Consol as opposed to College Station High School. You can see the dollar amount separated there for a total of just shy of $321,000. With additional details, Ms. Strauss.
Thank you. So once again, the purchasing department, along with technology and fine arts, solicited proposals. There were two vendors that proposed that we call a complete proposal. They had all the items that we are requesting. That evaluation was done in conjunction with purchasing department, technology department, as well as the fine arts department. They all participated in that evaluation. Once done, they are proposing Covenant as the low proposer and the best value to the district in the total amount of $320,904.42. So I ask for your consideration on this last item.
I move for the approval of the purchase of the auditorium lighting upgrades as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That will bring us all the way to item K1. Consider authorizing the superintendent to enter into final negotiations on CSP 22-013 with CR Systems related for roof repairs and replacements related to the hailstorm in April of 2021 in an amount not to exceed $3,792,920, utilizing the general fund. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Hack and board members. I believe Mr. Hall and Ms. Strauss are going to tag team this one. If you recall the hailstorms from last year, about a year ago, we experienced significant damage to a number of our facilities. Soon then after that, we experienced monsoons. We had to do a temporary fix to try to limit the leaking that was occurring in a number of our schools, so we got that handled. This is the long-term fix to a number of roofs throughout the district due to the hailstorm. So with a whole lot more detail associated with this item, Mr. Hall and Ms. Strauss.
Thank you. So I'm going to start sharing you a little bit of information about the process with insurance coverage and that sort of thing before Mr. Hall talks about the competitive state proposal and the recommendations thereof. But as mentioned, April was a hailstorm that many of us will not forget, as well as the rains that followed. But we've been working very closely with district staff, ARMCO, our roofing consultant, ANCO, who is our insurance, but then also our insurance carrier as well throughout this whole process as they went building to building to assess which ones had damage, to what extent that had damage, and working through those emergency repairs that they were kept involved in, and communication was ongoing through that. But it ended up with 4, which we call pretty major damage: Barbara Bush Parenting Center, Southwood Valley Elementary, Oakwood Elementary, and A&M Consolidated Middle School. But in addition to that, there's 6 other buildings right now that are currently involved in that. But after working closely with the insurance carrier, they did come up with an estimated cost, included the professional engineering fees along with that, and the emergency repairs. So since then, we've opened the competitive seal proposals, and we're still working with insurance on reconciling the differences between that, which is not unusual considering a claim of this size and, the inflation that has taken place, because there's been a time span from the time they looked at it and did that cost estimate and now. So that kind of tells you where we're at with the insurance claim itself before I turn it over to Mr. Hall. If you have any questions on that side, I'll be glad to entertain those.
I can't tell you how comforting it is for a guy like me in the construction side of the house to have someone like Amy Draws tackle all the insurance stuff. It's a little intimidating, but she's led all of us very well through all of that. I'm gonna fast forward up to the request for competitive seal proposals process, where we reached out and were able to obtain some bids for this work that we'd been processing for quite a while. Bids were received on February 24th, 2022, and over the course of the next few days after that, all submitted bids and combination of bids were reviewed to determine the best value for the district. And you can see all the bid tabulations and scoring sheets attached there. ARMCO roofing consultant Representative Dennis Leifrig. Dennis, put your hands up over there. He took the lead for us in this process. And his recommendation is attached as well tonight. Did a great job for us. Our recommendation is for an all-in proposal from CR Systems in the amount of $3,792,920. They had a complete bid for an SPF foam roofing system. That's spray polyurethane foam roofing system with a 20-year warranty that is currently the standard at Texas A&M University. Just really rugged, very, very durable roofs that last forever. This also gives us an opportunity that we can call them back and inspect our roofs, fix any damages on them every 2 years, and just really give us a good long-term solution to this. Also, these foam roof systems have materials that can be obtained much more readily than the other systems. And as far as cost goes, it was lower than the next complete bid by over $642,000. And once again, you can see all the bid tabulations listed for reference if you need to. This work would include the like, kind, and quality that's covered typically by our insurance, as well as the required code upgrades to provide appropriate insulation values to these new roofs. So it is recommended that the College Station Independent School Board authorize the superintendent on CSP 22-013 to enter into final negotiations with CR Systems for roof repairs and replacements related to a hailstorm in April of 2021 in an amount not to exceed $3,792,920 utilizing the general fund. And with that, I'd love to answer any questions or take any comments.
I motion to approve the superintendent try to keep roofs over our students' heads.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Brings us to item K2. Consider authorizing the superintendent to enter into final negotiations on CSP 22-015 with PL20 Construction and Consulting LLC for Phase 1 of the renovations to Southwood Valley Elementary in the amount of $3,249,000, utilizing 2021 bond funds. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak and board members. Mr. Hall covered this significantly as far as the Phase 1 renovations at Southwood Valley during our workshop session earlier. So this particular request allowed that work to commence forward. With additional details, Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale, Mr. Horak, members of the board. It's my pleasure to be bringing forth the first significantly sized project for the 21 bond package. Back in November of 21, voters approved the issuance of bonds in the total amount of $78.125 million. And it was communicated to both the Bond Planning Committee as well as the voters of CSISD that a portion of these funds would be used for some renovations over at Southwood Valley. It's an older school, getting a little tired looking, needs a little TLC, and so it was time to pour some into that campus. This project was released using the competitive seal proposal as the contract delivery method, as approved by the Board of Trustees back in December of 21. And proposals were received on February 23rd, 2022, with 4 general contractors proposing. We put together an evaluation team consisting of VLK architects, Melissa Fleming. Melissa, raise your hand over there. Aliyah Stevens, myself, and Renee Ramirez, who's the Assistant Director of Facilities. And we scored out the proposals based on the published criteria as required, with PL20 Construction and Consulting being recommended as the lowest proposer and best overall value to the district by receiving the highest total score. By the way, I'm not forgetting you, John Morgan. Put your hand up over there, too. He's with PL20. Y'all may recognize him. He's done lots and lots of work with us over the years. The proposed price by PL2 construction for Phase 1 is $3,249,000 with a total Phase 1 proposed budget, including all fees and estimated services outside the general contractor, being $3,618,400. Phase 1, it's probably worth noting here, Phase 1 is approximately 66% of the total project budget of $5,445,305. That's expected because this first phase is a little more of a challenge with tearing out and rebuilding walls and cutting in sanitary sewer lines under the slab. It's a lot tougher, a lot more expensive. And it's going to be a little more stressful, I think, to get us through this first one. But we're tracking well on the overall budget. With that said, so it is recommended that the College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees authorize the superintendent to enter into final negotiations with PL20 Construction for Phase 1 of the renovations project to Southwood Valley Elementary School in the amount of $3,249,000. Utilizing 2021 bond funds. and love to answer any questions you might have.
I move to approve authorizing the superintendent to fix up Southwood Valley Elementary.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Y'all sick of voting? All right, that brings us to item L, executive session. We have two items. L1, the board will meet in executive session to conduct a closed meeting to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property because the deliberation in an open meeting would have detrimental effect on the position of the district in negotiations with third party. The other item, L2, the board will meet in executive session to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, including superintendent of schools. We will deliberate and we'll see you when we get back. All right, we will adjourn. Thank you for being here. Until next time.